Oh, well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn. I'm delighted to be joined, first of all, by Aro Rose.
Oh,
Arrow, where does
hi.
that come from?
So it's my initials, ARO. My name is Amanda, but there's so many Amandas in Hollywood. I just didn't want to be another Amanda. So Arrow, it
Arrow
is.
is great. So you've made it up.
Yeah, no, it's basically yeah, made up.
Brilliant. So tell me then about you, because we're going to be joined a little bit later on by Chris Wyse as well, who you're
Yeah.
collaborating with. But how did you get involved with the music industry?
So I've been doing music all my life, but more so as a hobby. I grew up playing piano. And then I went to college for method acting in Manhattan. So the initial goal was to be an actor. I always wanted to act, so I spent a lot of high school and college doing that. But then I started getting some inspiration for music, and then I signed a record deal when I was like 18. It wasn't that good, so I got out of it. But then I just ended up continuing doing that more professionally. So yeah, it just
So
turned
when
into
you say the record deal wasn't that good, what was wrong with it?
I was freshly 18. It was with a label out here in Los Angeles. So I didn't know much at all because I was so new to the industry. I was just 18. They basically were going to take like 50% of everything I made for like the
Whoa.
rest of my life. So it was very tough, and they weren't distributing the music the way I wanted it to be, and it was just a whole mess. So luckily, I was able to get out of it. But on the bright side, I ended up continuing the career, and yeah, it just kind of snowballed into more. So
And it's all, I mean, this is a fascinating industry where artists famously have been ripped off all of their life, which is why Phoenix 360 was set up to try and shed more light on the industry and also provide a better return for that. Part of the return is obviously about collaboration. How did you get involved with Chris Wyse?
so Chris and I met at like a Hollywood party back, I would say, oh my gosh, I think I was like 21 or 22. So quite a bit ago. I'm 26 years old now. And I always loved his band, the Hollywood Vampires. So I was a fan of him before I even met him, which was pretty cool. And then we like reconnected over the years, and I was just like, hey, I have this song. I wanted you to take a look at it, see if you would be willing to play bass on it. And he liked the song and he agreed to play bass. And here we are. The song's
Hurrah!
off.
Well, here we are indeed. I think we should bring Chris on. He's been very patient in the background. Why don't you introduce him?
Okay, well, Chris Wise, everybody, an amazing bassist and
Oh, thank you
super
very
cool
much.
guy. Very cool
How's it
guy.
going, Andrew?
Hey, not too bad. I'm still pushing boundaries at 56. I've got to ask you first of all, I mean, you played with Ozzy. Tell me about your fondest memories of him.
Oh, well, there was a particular moment in the studio where I've told this story before, but he was like, Chris, man, you're gonna effing love me because I love the bass really loud and I love all the riffs you're adding. And I was like, I do love you, Ozzy. That's pretty great. And well, there's a lot. He was a fun guy, and I would often smell him before he was seen because he had an amazing scent. And the
Oh.
producer would ask me, "Have you seen Ozzy yet today?" And I'm like, "No, but I know he's here." And he'd say, "How do you know?" I'd say, "Because I can smell him."
Well, and it was a pleasant smell.
It was a very, very exotic,
Oh.
fancy. I think he had a custom smell.
Oh,
A
that's
custom
good. By the
scent.
way, the Ozzy Osbourne perfume. It's not something you normally associate with Ozzy, but it's.
Yeah, the Prince of
No.
Darkness perfume or
I,
scent.
I, I think it will do very well.
Oh.
It's,
Don't
it
tell
sounds.
anybody. We'll call Sharon. You know.
Oh, absolutely. So just on that though, I mean, you must have been devastated when you heard the news of his passing.
Well, my personal experience with him was really special, but he was also part of my life since I was a little boy because I was hugely impressed by Black Sabbath and his voice and Geezer Butler on the bass, obviously, and all that was a huge impact. So yeah, it was it hit a lot of us really hard. I mean, I was lucky I worked with him and had some personal experience, but I think all of us felt something deep about Ozzy because he was so personable as well as mysterious, you know.
Yeah. So Aro, what were your memories of Ozzy?
Oh my gosh. So my favorite place in the whole world when I was a kid was going to like the Hard Rock Cafe with my dad in like New York City. And everything was always so Aussie and like I was always so fascinated by like rock stars and all that kind of stuff. And I just remember Ozzy was just such a core memory. I would, Crazy Train. I grew up on that song. So it was very devastating to hear him passing, but I always just saw him as just like that rock icon. I mean, he was like the person, you know what I mean? Like when you think of all that kind of stuff, I feel like Ozzy is just the face of that.
Yeah,
So
I know, brilliant. Well, I had no idea about the Aussie smell, so well, that's a revelation there for that sort of. Now, Chris and Harry, you're both New York kids at heart. Chris inspired by Kiss and Iron Maiden in Queens, Arrow pouring high school poems into piano keys in Manhattan. Each of you will tell me one gritty New York City memory from subway jams or rooftop scribbles that first whispered, "This has got to be my path in music." Arrow, let's start with you.
that's a good question. I would say probably when I was probably younger, honestly. My dad, I grew up going to like Broadway plays. My dad really always wanted me to kind of get into the arts and kind of get a feel for that. So he would always take me to Broadway plays, musicals and stuff. And I just remember hearing like the orchestra, all that kind of stuff. And I just knew at a very young age I wanted to be involved in music or just be involved in some sort of the arts. So I was always very fascinated by that. So it's a nice
Chris?
fact.
Well, yeah, I knew right away with the Kiss, powerful, heavy kind of hard rock music, and me growing up, it was a comic book age before social media and the internet blowing up. So it was like being a superhero and a rock star was sort of like, as you mentioned, Kiss was a thing. And New York was a great place to play and everything. I remember I had a band that played the L'Amour's Scud Battle in Brooklyn, and we won the battle. And the owner told us, he handed us the check and said, "You better leave because these other bands are all in gangs, and you're probably going to get your ass kicked. So better leave town right now." So he announced that we won, and we took off after the announcement. We were sitting in our car waiting, and we took the check and left. So New York's pretty hardcore, man. I mean, you got to be tough. Same with Hollywood.
God, yeah.
Oh,
Same with
absolutely. Well, I was in New York fairly recently, the Bitter End. We had a Phoenix 360 showcase there. Fantastic venue. Have you played there?
no, but I've been there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? So both growing up then, you've got your early music influences. What's the first gig you went to, Arrow?
Oh, the first gig I went to? Oh my gosh. I don't even know, honestly. I really haven't been to many. I only got to also perform one time in Manhattan for a 9/11 concert, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I actually don't have a lot of memories like that in New York, but it was more so like acting involved. I really started more music when I came out here to LA, but I would love to go back to New York and do more
Oh,
music there.
it's fantastic. But worldwide, Chris, what was your first gig?
A gig or concert
Concert.
that I attended
Yeah.
with Iron Maiden in upstate New York, and I was over the moon because I was influenced by Steve Harris to play bass. You know,
Yeah, pretty incredible speech. Because it's those early memories that sort of force things. But you touched on this earlier, Arrow. It's a very sort of strange industry where lots of people are trying to nibble away at you. You made that big bold leap from having a stability of a record deal, if you like. Well, tell me about that sort of bet on myself sort of moment, the catalyst for that, and how you dealt with those sort of uncertainties.
Oh my gosh. Well, in the music industry, there's so many like broken promises and you deal with a lot of people, and I started it, young as a teenager. So I definitely have grown so much. You definitely have to be careful. And sometimes the best thing to be is independent, which I learned. It's better than being in a bad record deal or a bad deal at all. So I definitely have grown a lot. I've learned a lot and just kind of sticking to what I want to do and sticking to what avenue I want to go down. So
Yeah. It's certainly an industry where resilience is key, isn't it? Because you get so many setbacks. I mean, Chris, talk to me about your Metallica audition.
Oh goodness. Well, I was very comfortable in the audition, and I was very more than capable of playing all that stuff.
Mhm.
I'm a fingers player guy, and that's what they're looking for. Also, I was for quite some time Bob Rock's the producer of Metallica's first call bass player, and basically I did Tal Bachman. You might remember a hit
Of
song
course.
called "She's So High." That was a big record, and that's how I
Yeah.
met Bob. So my audition went great. Kirk Hammett called me and said, you know, we really liked you, and they wanted to turn me on to Ozzy. Funny enough, because they were getting Robert Trujillo, but Jason Newsted got it with a phone call. But then a few years later, I ended up playing in Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains band, and Mike Borden was Ozzy's drummer from Faith No More, and he said, "You're the guy. I don't know how we didn't know about you before." And that's how it led to Ozzy. So it's funny, you know, it's like you, I try and make, you know, the lemonade out of the lemons. I was disappointed, and then eventually it all worked out, you know. And it
Yeah.
was an honor to audition for Metallica.
Oh, no, fantastic.
Yeah.
That lemonade out of
Not
the
many
lemons is
people get
absolutely
that
great.
opportunity, so that's an amazing
Yeah, it
opportunity
was
to even
very
have.
cool. And again, it, you know, it's just like it's a plus in my story. And then, you know, as I got older, I started realizing that I was like, oh, I didn't get it. You know, but then you grow up a bit and realize I was kind of a kid then. They thought I looked really young. That
Yeah.
Kirky told me that, you know.
Yeah, well, it's interesting on that sort of basis, but also all these experience, they're great for songwriting, aren't they? People always say that as an artist, you have to suffer, and there's all sort of traditional scar to song tactics that you certainly used, Arrow, as well. Talk to me about your writing process and how much of your deep and inner personal life you're happy to share.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, a lot of it comes from personal life, personal experiences and stuff. I do a lot of writing on my piano. A lot of it comes from like poetry I've written, but also I get a lot of inspiration from movies and TV. So a lot of my songs are also based on different sorts of films or different sorts of scenes from TV. So I really enjoy writing about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Chris, I mean, your upright bass bow work in Owl creates these sort of Hendrix meets Haunt vibes. What's one impossible technique that you battled in the studio for things you can't see that unlocked this whole new way of telling stories through sound?
Well, for me, it's like theater of the mind. When I got the call from Aro here to do the song,
Mhm.
"Heal Me," I was like, she kind of requested to make it kind of spooky. So in the bed of the track, I'm kind of playing down meat and potatoes bass, and then there's a bass solo in the middle, and I took that as an opportunity to kind of make it a haunting bow slightly moody, spooky type of thing. Funny enough, the combination of just a great
Mhm.
singer songwriter with a really interesting kind of dressing that I did to it, a treatment,
Mhm.
really complemented it, and it's kind of what I do best, really. And it was a good opportunity for me to get in and record with her. And we also did an intro and outro
We did.
recently. We just kind of made it up over at Nightbird Studios here at the Sunset Marquee, and it sounds like a horror movie track. The intro and outro. It's really
Oh,
spooky.
brilliant! Is that the sort
It
of
does.
is that the sort of genre of films you like?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I'm hoping maybe I could get into this even more. My solo record, I'm sort of chipping away at, is all spooky, theatrical themed stuff.
It's
Yeah,
very
no,
cool. It could be like a score to a movie. His stuff is
That's the
incredible.
way we look at it, like a score to
Hmm.
a movie and a story.
and I
Hmm.
think that's right, isn't it? The sort of soundtrack to people's lives, and there's a lot of that in in your songwriting era as well. You've got tracks like "Damaged" and the new "Live Without You." Basically, it's about heartbreak, isn't it? Heartbreak, embracing that as power. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Definitely a lot of heartbreak, definitely a lot of pain. I definitely think a lot of great music comes from pain. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So, I think sometimes the best stories do come from unfortunate pain, disappointment, heartbreak, but you could create art out of it. So,
Well, and I think do you find it therapeutic?
oh, of course. Yeah. I see music as like writing in a journal or like a diary. It's basically like a very public diary, but that's basically what music is. Like you're just kind of putting it all out there for the public, but it's cool.
But sometimes because it is so personal, some of this sort of stuff and the
Yeah.
stories behind it
Hmm.
do not feel. I mean, the two biggest artists on the planet, or certainly top three, sort of Taylor Swift and very different Ed Sheeran. But
Hmm.
it's all about whittled back, if you like, just them and a voice, but really powerful lyrics telling the tales and the tribulations they've gone through. Do you not find that sometimes embarrassing? Are you happy to share those moments?
Um, yeah, sometimes it could be, well, it's a very vulnerable state, especially when you're writing from the heart and you're writing very like that. But yeah, it could be a little sometimes, I wouldn't say embarrassing. It's just, you're being very vulnerable and you're letting people into your personal life. And, but I also think there's a major benefit because a lot of people are afraid to talk about their personal life or talk about things that they're afraid to talk about. So it's like sometimes it's a good conversation starter for people to kind of open up themselves when they hear a song that they relate to.
Yeah. Now you both collaborated with well, icons in this industry. Chris, well, obviously people like Mick Jagger. We talked about Ozzy Osbourne, Johnny Depp, and Arrow rubbing elbows with Chris himself. There you go. You could be an icon, Chris. So what's
Yeah.
absolutely what's the wildest aha moment from a session where a star's input flipped your creative script upside down? Let's start with you, Chris.
My creative script upside down. Well, I would say, one of the things that really impressed upon me was the guys in the Vampires asked me to do a bow piece for the Rise record, and I wasn't expecting that, so I kind of wrote this little minute and a half, 10, 12 upright basses, and as I got it done and I played it for them and gave it to the guys, they were like, "We love it, we want to use it," and I was like, it hit me, goodness, maybe I could do this for myself because I wasn't really doing that. I was more singer songwriter style with my band Owl. So now I'm doing this solo record with some of the spooky gothic owl imagery. And so that sort of sent me on this path I'm on lately. So that was really cool. That was a plus.
Yeah, Arrow.
Well, I'm still kind of freshly starting out, everything with my career, but I would say a really cool core moment was I got to collaborate with this Grammy award-winning producer, Scott Carter, which
Right.
is amazing. He's worked with so many big artists and he really took me out of my comfort zone for Live Without You. It's not a song I would normally do, but I'm so happy I did it because it showed me that I can do different genres of music and I can kind of branch out. So it was very cool. It was definitely something that I didn't expect to do, but I'm so happy that I did.
So what's the song about? Who are you living without?
It's basically just about losing somebody that you once loved and kind of having to accept that you have to live without them, and it's about moving on. But I think it's something we could all relate to for sure.
Well,
Also,
and those are the best songs, aren't they, Chris? I mean, you're right. Is that relatableness, if you like, in the lyrics?
I
Yeah.
think everyone likes interpreting songs the way they're feeling too. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're extremely literal in a song, like maybe some country is very literal, like literally I did this and then I did that.
Mm-hmm.
But Arrow's music, I listen to it and I go, huh, that could be about a few different things. And that's what's cool is like leaving it open to the listener a little
Yeah, and
bit.
I think that's right, isn't it? There's that little bit where everybody can relate to it. It's rather like a piece of art. If you're looking at a particular painting, you don't want the artist explaining too much about it. You can read what you like into it.
Exactly, yeah. It's an emotional thing for people to listen and feel whatever they feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've spoken about the celebrities, other celebrities that you've worked with. What's been the most surprising thing that you found Arrow and Chris afterwards?
Mm, with us?
Yeah. Oh, so anybody you've worked, obviously you're dealing with icons in the industry. I always say that
Well,
you
he
know,
is. He
yeah,
definitely
he's an icon in the industry. What's the most surprising thing you found out about Chris?
I always knew he was an incredible bassist, but he's a musical genius. Like from just what he produced in the studio and the fact that he can come up with these incredible, just right from his head, like nothing was planned, these beautiful melodies really that could score a movie. I mean, he's just so talented, and it really shocked me because I always knew he was talented, but I never expected what he could just produce like on spot. It's just really incredible. It's such an amazing
I
talent.
love working like that. I love feeling it right in the
Yeah.
moment. When you prepare things, sometimes you get stuck
Yeah.
not being fluid enough with the moment. And it's a different thing. You can
Yeah.
prepare things, of course, pre-productions for a reason
Yeah.
and all that. But I like vibing off of people, and it's why I've played with so many different kinds of groups and artists. Like I go in, and it's kind of like being an actor of sorts, where
Hmm.
you have to vibe on what the scene or the whole vibe of the thing is.
Yeah, and
And
you're absolutely right. There's a real energy depending on the different people that you've worked with. Well, so
Yeah.
what are some of the surprises that you found out about people? Because music opens them up in a different way. I mean, Johnny Depp working with him. What were the surprising things that you found out about him?
I would forget how famous he is because he's like kind of just one of the boys in the Hollywood Vampires,
Hmm.
very talented,
Yeah.
extremely talented, great lyrics and song ideas. A funny little story would be like we were in Europe somewhere touring, and we'd be hanging out in his hotel room, and I'd walk by one of the windows as we're discussing the show or something, and 500 people started screaming outside the hotel, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm with that guy. So the guys at the top often are like that. Ace Frehley's a good friend of mine, and I worked with him for years, and Paul Stanley and all these guys,
Hmm.
they end up being the most mellow, easygoing of the bunch. Sometimes it's the people in between, that end up being difficult. Like
Hmm.
people you wouldn't expect. The guy that gets the coffee or that changes your strings, ends up being the difficult one. But I've been very fortunate to have such nice relationships with everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely key. I mean, looking at that sort of music industry, you must have seen that Arrow as well. It's great to have Chris sort of guiding you in a way with these sort of
Hmm.
shark-infested waters, because people, what they really want to be care about, just look at them as individuals. It's not about that particular role, or it's such a fake sort of industry to a certain extent, isn't it? And finding genuine people who've got a genuine passion about something is really refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, yeah. And we've
Hmm.
talked about that. I've been around a bit, and some of the
Yeah.
things I see going on are, it's the same old thing. It's the same story
Mm.
over, but no matter what group or project I'm involved in, it's pretty much the same story. It's like nothing really brand new is coming at me at this
Yeah.
point.
So what is that story, and what do you warn Arrow about in the industry?
It's just the people that mainly that you got to be careful over the ones that are kind of, you said, nibbling at you, and the
Yeah.
sharks and stuff, and the
Hmm.
ones that you're working with are the genuine ones most 99% of the time that want to get some really cool art done, and that's the whole goal. Everything else is just a distraction.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that's right. So you both got such a wonderful body of work. What's the one track that you would work on the others' catalogue of work that you could add your own vibe to? Let's start with you, Aaron.
Like what song would I
Yeah, you're obviously adding cinematic lyrics to a vampire's riff, for example. What if you looked at that sort of side? Is there a particular track you'd really like to work on with Chris?
I would love to come up with a track with him just from scratch. Heal Me was a song I did present to him, but I would love to do something just completely from scratch that we could write. I think that would be really cool, something
Yeah,
very cinematic.
we've been chatting about
Yeah.
what's next and stuff. I've been calling. People ask me, "What is it like? What are you guys up to?" And
Hmm.
I told a friend of mine, it's kind of like dark Adele, and they
Mm.
were like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Dark Adele is this sort of way to describe what she's up to."
Yeah.
And but the thing is, adding some sort of depth to each other that maybe you don't normally have, and you don't normally think that way, which is great.
Yeah, oh, it's a
Um,
great description because, as you say, Adele wears her heart on her sleeve. She can be pretty dark herself.
yeah, sure, sure.
Oh yeah, her music's totally dark and I love like her instrumentation and all of her songs is just so beautiful and I do play piano so I love the way that the bass sounds with the piano. I think it's just such a gorgeous combination. I think it sounds so
Yeah,
grand.
upright bass and piano is classic, and it's
Hmm.
infinite. I mean, it's like it almost sounds like a whole orchestra.
Yeah.
No, it's
Hmm.
it's a beautiful fusion of both instruments. I think it works really, really well on that sort of basis. Now, I often have people on the shows, and very famous people come on. They talk about the highs and the lows. When you've got an audience in front of you and you're feeding, being fed by the audience, all of that sort of side. The difficulty comes when you come off stage. How do you cope with that, Chris?
It's a good question. I think all of us struggle with the trying to come down to reality after the show. And as I've, been doing this for quite some time, there was you can't keep up with the lifestyle after a while if there's a nightly party and all that. And sometimes you're just looking forward
Hmm.
to your spaghetti and meatballs and back to the hotel and calling your mom or a friend
Hmm.
back home. I mean, it really gets that simple,
Hmm.
and it just becomes all about the show.
Yeah.
The
Arrow?
whole thing is about the show.
Yeah, Arrow?
I've only performed a handful of times, but I mean, I've always had a pretty cool response, people coming up to me and saying, they related to the song or something. It's nerve-wracking for me because I'm kind of just starting out, but it's cool. I think once I get up there, it kind of all goes away. You know what I mean? It's just like the initial beforehand, but it's really cool connecting with the crowd. You could really feel that energy. So it's definitely fun.
Yeah, and the real difficulty, and that this is something that people don't always speak about, is you have that adoration in front of a huge crowd. You then come back to your spaghettis and meatballs, as you say, Chris, and sometimes that's a relief. But there might be a big gap between that and the next gig, and a lot of people go into quite a depression about it. How do you cope? What advice would you give to Arrow regarding some sort of coping mechanism for that?
Well, healthy habits, healthy food, maybe yoga, hiking, running. And when I come back from tour, I was fortunate enough to have my own group and things and other projects. So
Mm,
I wouldn't sit around too long after being out on the road for a couple months. You need to recover a bit
yeah,
physically, but you don't want to
stressful.
just hang out. You want to
Mm,
keep everything going, and just even just trying like a new style of music or a project just for fun is a great thing to do. Just keep
yeah.
yourself occupied because it's kind of extreme. I mean, a lot of us musicians struggle with that, and we all know what comes with that. But I think just replacing some of the party lifestyle with the healthy habits is really, really the key.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, life on the road can be pretty harsh, as you say, for people. How do you deal with arguments? Are you good with settling arguments, Harry?
Me? No. No. I'm not a confrontational person at all. So I sometimes say I'm like too nice because I don't like confrontation. I don't like conflict. So for me it's hard, but in this industry you have to have a thick skin. I've definitely gotten a lot more tough over the years. When I was younger, forget it. Like, I just let people step all over me and stuff. But now that I'm older, I'm just starting to do it in like in more an assertive way, just like guarding myself, being more cautious about who I hang around and how I go about it, but still in a nice way. But you just have to be stern sometimes.
Chris, what advice would you give?
Just learn how to say no.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like all of us want to be nice and get along and stuff, but sometimes you're like, no, I'm not
yeah,
doing that, or no, I'm not
yeah,
comfortable with that, and know when to say
yeah,
yes as well. It's like it's basic, but it's
yeah,
you want peace on the road because it's your home on the bus and the tour and with everybody. But once in a while, people step their bounds,
hmm,
and again, oftentimes, I 99.99% of the time, it's not the band. It's
Uh,
it's people
everything
around the
else.
band.
but you're absolutely right. It's good to
You know?
call it out. It's good to call it
Yeah,
out. You should
and then you
root
have to
out
like
those bad elements. Give
you
me
have
one
to
example. What was the
put 'em.
biggest bust up? What was the biggest bust up you've had on the road?
Like meaning how long or
Oh, whatever the major drama, something that
Any
people wouldn't speak to each other forever. Everybody thought
oh
the
well,
band was
I
going to split
mean,
up.
I never throw anyone under the bus. I mean, I've been in bands for years and stuff like that, and I was in the cult English band for 10 years and then some, and we were in a bus crash in Croatia,
Yeah.
and I had a recurring dream about a bus crash with the cult, and
mm,
I think I saved my life because the double decker buses in the UK and Europe. Um, basically all the bunks are upstairs and the kitchen area and everything's downstairs. And
Mm.
I looked out the window and oh my God, this is the dream. I recognized the white cement roads and something told me it was like almost 6 in the morning. I was having like granola and tea, PG tips, PG tips. And something in my brain said, go up to your bunk now
Mm.
because this is the dream. And
Right.
sure enough, we hit a railing on a bridge. I had a little round window, believe it or
Yeah.
not, and we were about
That's
100 feet
scary.
up, and I could see everything was slow motion. If anyone's ever experienced a car crash or anything like that, and we made it across the bridge. Everyone was screaming. We were all terrified, and we made it across the bridge, and then the bus started fishtailing, and I
Oh.
thought, oh my God, we made it over the bridge, but now we're going to explode all over the highway. And we just slowed down and pulled over to the side. We were very fortunate, but it was very traumatic. So I'll never forget that because we all had like sort of little mental breakdowns in the weeks to follow because
Yeah.
it's like a PTSD or something, you
Yeah.
know.
No, well, Aro would have turned it into a song.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's something you
Yeah,
guys
well,
are.
there's your inspiration. That's your next collaboration. You can do
Yes.
that.
That's a pretty cool
So,
idea, actually. We'll send you a co-write.
oh no, I get a writer's credit somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So finally, it's great to see your collaboration. I would urge anybody to go out and get it and go and see you live somewhere as well. Finally though, let's start with each of you. What's been your proudest moments, Arrow, so far?
My proudest moment, it was really it was kind of cool back I think in 2023. My song Damaged was actually played in Times Square, and my picture in the video was like up where like the New Year's Eve ball is, and it
Yes.
was really cool. And then I had like all these people in Times Square like coming up to me asking me for pictures and stuff and being like, I love Damaged, I'm damaged too. And I was like, oh yeah, we all are, but it was
We're
just
all
so
damaged. Hurrah! Yes.
yeah. It was just cool to see myself up there on the screen in Times Square.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Oh, it's
surreal.
great. I was there a couple of weeks ago in Times Square for this peace festival. Yes, speaking in Times Square.
Mhm.
It's a fantastic atmosphere, isn't it? It's such an iconic place. Love
A
it.
lot of energy.
Oh,
A
goodness.
lot of energy. Chris, your proudest moment?
Well, I mean, goodness, I would say bringing it back to the Ozzy thing was a big
Hmm.
deal. I remember telling my mom and dad when I was leaving New York, much younger, actually, when I was a teenager, even, I was a big Ozzy fan, and I'd say, one day, mom and dad, I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to be playing with Ozzy. And they were like, that's nice, son.
That's
And
nice.
then when it happened, I got a call my mom and dad. And I was like, hey, you'll never guess who I'm in the studio with. And they were like,
Wow.
I did a lot by then. So they're like, gosh, son, I have no idea. And I go, think about it. And they said, Ozzy? And I said, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a new album.
What was he like in the studio?
Super fun. We couldn't wait to see him every day. He
Brilliant. And he
was
smelled nice as well.
he smelled
Smell
nice.
good.
And he liked lots of bass riffs and
Oh.
and put it up in the mix. So
Brilliant. I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Okay, that was proudest moment. Biggest regret, Arrow?
Biggest regret would probably be sometimes playing it safe and not taking more risks. Sometimes I wish I took more risks. I could definitely be a little shy sometimes, and then in this industry, you cannot be shy. That's one thing I learned. You just have to take risks and see what happens, you
Yeah,
know?
great advice. Chris?
Yeah, it's funny. She kind of hits on the same thing that I thought of was that I've had so many people in my
Mhm.
realm asking for me to work with them and do all these different things all the time. And I'm on their list, top of their list, but then I never seem to reverse the roles. And so lately I've been thinking about that. Like maybe it's time for me to get some guest players on these new recordings I'm
Yeah.
doing, stuff like that, and really mix it up. So hopefully live and learn and keep getting better, you know.
Fantastic stuff. And finally, each of you, then, if you were going to write a letter to yourself at the beginning of your career, not so long ago, Arrow, in your case, what advice would you give in light of what's happened to you? Start with Arrow.
I would definitely say just again, like take risks, don't be shy, and follow your heart, and just really just don't be shy. Come out of your shell, don't hide, don't put yourself in a box. You should definitely branch out and follow your
Okay,
dream.
good advice, Chris.
Yeah, same. But I would add to it, don't waste any time thinking about it. Just get on it. Because a lot of times, like we were just talking about earlier, you don't need to have everything prepared.
No.
Life and the universe and God and whatever you believe in is going to work for you at some point.
Yeah.
And you have to believe in destiny. I didn't know what I was doing when I came to Hollywood. I did not have a clue. I mean, I was very fortunate and was teaching bass and then got gigs right away and all that stuff. But yeah, I had to throw myself into the deep end and just try and swim. And
Okay.
that's I was like, don't put it off. Just if you have a passion, just do it. If you don't have the passion, don't fake it either. Find your instrument, find your voice, whatever it is, find your style, go for it.
Brilliant stuff. It's been an absolute delight. I look forward to having you back when my suggestion for the new song comes out. So keep me posted on that. But now, Chris Wyse and Aro Rose, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks for having us. Hello, I'm Chris Wise,
Hi, I'm Aro Rose.
and you're listening to the
Andrew
Andrew
Eborn Show.
Eborn Show. Subscribe now.
Subscribe. So our song Heal Me and our music video is coming out October 11th, and we're having a premiere at the Three Clubs in West Hollywood. So everybody tune in on October 11th and watch Heal Me.
This Saturday.